Hello, everybody. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte believes that during the summit in Alaska next Friday, United States President Donald Trump will conduct a test for Russian President Putin regarding the seriousness of his intentions to end the war in Ukraine, and no real peace agreement will be signed on that day. The fact that Donald Trump is not at all confident that his efforts yield any real results is also stated by American Vice President Jay Devens, who spoke with Donald Trump about this. Let me remind you that J.D. Vance was precisely the person who, on behalf of the United States, participated in the summit of national security advisors from the United States, Ukraine, and European countries, after which a public appeal from European leaders to President Donald Trump appeared. However, J.D. Vance emphasized that from Trump's point of view, even if the efforts do not yield the results expected in Washington, they should still be made in order to put an end to the war. Also, he emphasized that without Donald Trump's leadership, Russia and Ukraine are unlikely to agree on a ceasefire for this long-standing war. At the same time, the American vice president acknowledges the fact that it is quite difficult to talk about how the war will end right now, and reports that United States continues to be in contact with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. But the result of a peaceful settlement, in the opinion of the United States vice president, will satisfy neither Ukrainians nor Russians. He also emphasized that from his point of view, Americans should discuss precisely the end of the war along the line of military confrontations, the current front line. That is, we are again returned to the proposal that Donald Trump has expressed to Russian Federation President Putin literally since their first telephone conversation, and to this day the president of the Russian Federation has not agreed with this Trump proposal, demanding the withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the territories of Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia regions, which, as is known, were annexed by Russia and are now perceived in Moscow as subjects of the Russian Federation. Why should Putin's position have changed at all, and is the Russian president going to agree with the idea that Russian and Ukrainian troops should agree to a truce along the line of confrontation? No information is available. It is possible that the United States will make efforts to persuade Putin to such a truce, but there are no signs that the Russian leader may agree to such an approach. Unless it could be about a short-term truce, about some kind of Putin's gift to Trump, which will end in an even bloodier and more serious war. The only question is when. When Donald Trump will continue to serve as President of the United States, or when the career of the current American president ends and he leaves the Oval Office. But will Putin wait that long to realize his intentions of restoring Russian imperial statehood within 1991 borders? Is the Russian president ready to believe that he simply has to outweigh Donald Trump, just as he outweighed his predecessor as President of the United States, Joe Biden? Of course, almost no one has an answer to this question right now. This is why Mark Rutte talks about the test that Donald Trump allegedly intends to arrange for Putin. The question also is, why is Trump ready to risk his reputation if his meeting with the Russian president does not end with some concrete results? After all, no matter what J.D. Vance says about Trump considering it necessary simply to make efforts to end the Russian-Ukrainian war, if the summit in Alaska ends without any real discussion that truly lead to the war ending, this will be a demonstration that Trump generally cannot influence the Russian president. It will be a reminder that the Geopolitical role of the United States in Trump's time cannot even be compared with the role of the American state that the American state played 10 or 15 years ago, when Trump was just about to begin his amazing political career. And here the answer may be more logical. Perhaps Trump is meeting with Putin not at all to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. Just as, for example, he imposed tariffs against India not at all because India buys oil from Russians, but simply use this as a pretext to increase economic pressure on New Delhi. And here, the end of the Russian-Ukrainian war may be simply a pretext for Trump to legally meet with the president of the Russian Federation and discuss with him issues that truly interest the current American president. Yes, those were issues of possible business deals between the American and Russian elites, between American billionaires and Russian oligarchs. After all, let's not forget that Trump has always been focused precisely on deals and not at all on realistic political solutions to the problems that have accumulated in the modern world. And then the conversation about ending the Russia-Ukrainian war may be only a part, and not a very important one at that, of the meeting between Putin and Trump. It could be the background against which the completely different, indeed much more important issues for the Russian and American presidents, the common interest will be discussed. And in this situation, reporting that no real breakthroughs in resolving the Russian-Ukrainian war have been achieved, but negotiations on this matter will continue, may be considered by Trump as the best background for his desired and possibly truly important meeting with the Russian president and Putin's closest entourage, who will arrive in Alaska from the point of view of what Putin and Steve Witkoff agreed upon. Well, then it is obvious that the most important role in such an entourage will be played not by classical officials like the head of the Russian diplomatic department, Sergei Lavrov, but by the very same Kirill Dmitriev, whom Putin has entrusted with creating the economic and business background for Trump interests. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and Slava Ukraini!